This is going to be a bit of a lightning round. I'm not going to cover facts of the case. I'm going to cover the ruling as I understand it. This is not really helpful for anyone except for me. This is just a quick overview of negligence versus strict liability. What is the difference between those two concepts? Strict liability. So let's say I take a baseball and I throw it around the room, and it bounces wildly, and it bounces all over the place, and eventually goes through the window. Okay, and we'll just say that somehow that act is not negligent. It's probably a negligent act, but whatever. Under strict liability, I would be responsible because I caused the damage. Whereas under negligence, I would have to have been negligent in my baseball throwing activity, right? If my action wasn't negligent, I'm not responsible for damages caused by it, And we'll get to parts of negligence later that'll actually I'll go ahead and scroll down and explain kind of one of the really good explanations for negligence I saw. Strict liability is really easy to explain. Your actions cause damage, therefore you have to pay for it. So, negligence. There are 4 elements to negligence. It's really easy to remember because it's like Avatar, The Last Airbender, the good one. So, duty, breach, causation, damage. What does that mean? Duty. You were supposed to do something, not supposed to do something. You have a duty of care, right? You have a duty to not punch people. That would be assault, but we'll just, that's a duty, right? You have a duty not to run over people that are walking down the street. If somebody's on the sidewalk, you have a duty not to be on that sidewalk. And then breach. You breached that duty. You drove on the sidewalk. Causation. Now, this is the interesting one. You have to have caused it, right? You have to have caused it. And then damages. Damages, right? Watch, I'm going to do something that might be negligent. Okay, I punched my wall. Sorry, I'm gonna actually show you my demonstrative here. Punch the wall. I didn't cause any damage to the wall. If anything, the wall damaged me. That wouldn't be negligence, right? So those four pieces: duty, breach, causation, negligence. It's damages. That's what makes it negligence. Okay. If those 4 things are not met, you're in trouble in terms of trying to prove negligence. Now remember, your duty is a standard of care and a standard of reasonability. So to breach a duty, you have to have acted like someone who is reasonable, not have acted, basically. And we'll get to some weird examples, some nice borderlines that I love to talk about. So, scrolling all the way back up to our first case. This is British cases that are 5,000 years old, and none of them make sense. But Hull versus Orange. This establishes a very important principle: strict liability. If a person suffers damages, he has the right to cover. Hull versus Orange works under strict liability. Next, you have Millen versus Faindire. No, if you do your best to avoid trespassing, you're not liable for that trespass. So now suddenly, that is a bit of negligence. That's kind of the opposite. Now, go into the Tithe case. If a taking is necessary, then you are not liable, unless you know the person who's going to benefit from the necessity does not want you to. So, for example, if you say, there is a dragon. Dragons are great for law. They make great examples. Say there's a dragon, and it's on your neighbor's property, and it's burning down his house. If you go and kill the dragon, and the dragon, falls and breaks his very special and important tree, it's okay, because that was a necessity, right? You have to slay the dragon. But if he worships the dragon gods, and he would not have been okay with you murdering the dragon, well, then you can't do that. That's not, it's still a necessity, but he wouldn't have wanted you to try and save his property that way. So you'd have to wait for the dragon to fly over to your property and prevent it from murdering you. That actually is like a perfect, solid example. Normally I make an example up on the spot because that's what I'm doing here. And I'm like, nope, that's terrible. Nope, I actually like that one. So, Weaver versus Ward. Trespass does not require intent. So we did a whole thing on intentional torts. We're not doing intentional torts. To trespass, you don't have to intend to trespass, right? If I walk on someone's bushes, just because I didn't know that they were their bushes, that doesn't mean I'm not liable for my bush damage. Smith versus Stone. An inevitable accident is a defense to trespass. So Say these bushes were growing in like a place. Okay, we'll stick with the bush example. Say an inevitable accident. I was running from a pack of rabid dogs, and I broke your bushes while I was running. That's an inevitable accident. I mean, I have to run from rabid dogs. Yeah, rabies is not fun. Don't get rabies, anybody. If you do, bite the bullet. It's the better choice. All right. So, last case I'm going to cover in here, I believe. Yes. Okay, yeah, last case I'm going to cover in here. Scott versus Shepard. Man throws a small bomb. Man he throws the bomb at picks up the bomb and throws it. That man he throws it at a different man. That man picks up that bomb and throws it, then the bomb blows up. It's like a firework, not a bomb, but there's a lot of weird nouns in cases from like even 30, 40, 50 years ago. You'll get weird nouns that you've never heard before. It's because everyone used to be a farmer, and also these are British cases, so it's a bunch of weird British farm terms, right? So in this case, it's just a weird word for a firework that I didn't bother to write down. Oh, squib. They called them squibs, now I remember. So, whose fault is it? So, under Scott versus Shepard, they basically say, well, it's definitely the guy who originally threw it. It's originally fault. And then there's this whole usurpation of common law that comes from this. That's really complicated because I've tried to explain it. Trespass versus case. Trespass, that is, you did something direct. Case, you did something indirect. Under this new rule, they basically say, actually, if it's indirect, it's also trespass. You can still sue for case, but trespass. Just always use trespass. Yeah. Tort law was dumb is just like a good thing to have stapled to your forehead at all times. Write it down right now. Pull out a stapler and right there. Tort law was dumb. It's true. It was very dumb. If you sued somebody and you were like, they trespassed, and the court was like, no, they were negligent. Haha, you lose and you can't sue them anymore. As an aside, we still kind of have that, right? When you sue, you have to make claims. You have to say it was this, and this. And if you get it wrong, you get it wrong. That's why you throw the book at the guy, right? You just list everything it could possibly, conceivably have been and hope something sticks. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. All right. So with that, we're going to stop with Scott versus Shepard. And have a good one. See you all in the next video.